What's up, Lakers fans? I am Shane Jackson. Joining with me, as always, is Austin Case. This is the latest Lakers Theory podcast. We're doing this on December 3rd. It's been a few weeks since we recorded. Valid excuses of why we didn't record in a few weeks. But I thought this would be a good time to get back because had we done a pod over the last few weeks, honestly, it would have just been depressing as hell. And so going into the night, the Lakers were on a 2-game win streak. LeBron cleared COVID protocols or got the false positive and he was back. And there was optimism around this organization for the first time, probably all year. And I was like, this is great, Austin. And they're playing the Clippers tonight. We're going to get back on and say the Lakers are back. That's not what happened. The Lakers lost to the Clippers 119 to 115. And I think the final shot by the Clippers pretty much sums up the night. Marcus Morris banking a three from the left wing as the shot clock expired. When that thing goes down, you never really had a chance of winning the ball game. The Lakers didn't deserve this win, if we're being totally honest. Did not play anywhere close to their best basketball. That said, they took it. I thought there were some positive moments, and we'll get into both the positive and negative from tonight, and really just the last few weeks in general. But I will kick it to you, Austin. What was your main takeaway from a 4-point loss where the Lakers fall to 12-12 on the year?
Honestly, I felt like they left me on the edge of my seat the whole game. Like just when you think they're turning a point in the game, they'll give up a shot to the Clippers. And so it's just kind of like every time the Lakers would get back and something positive would happen, it would immediately change. So, and you saw that right there at the end. They had a shot, they just needed one bucket. The time was on their side. And then the Clippers just, they iced the game, and that summed it up perfectly. Like the Lakers were never able to get over the hump.
Yeah, Malik Monk had a couple shots down the stretch that I thought were going to go in that would have given the Lakers the lead. They never led tonight and never really deserved it. But honestly, the kind of the defining moments of the game are that BS starting lineup that Frank Vogel tosses out, where the Lakers were kind of just outmatched or outclassed on the court from the get-go, and then the closing lineup at the end. Those ended up being two defining moments for this team, and ultimately why they probably lost this game. We can start with the starting lineup. THT got the start today. And Dwight Howard obviously is the center. That is a thing moving forward, something to be excited about. I just thought they picked the wrong fifth guy to throw in the mix. I didn't necessarily understand THT's fit of all people. I would have liked to have seen a shooter, maybe Wayne Ellington or Malik Monk in there instead. What do you think about the starting lineup that Frank Vogel trotted out there?
I like Howard starting. I don't know, man. I feel like DJ's just he's not right for this team. Like he doesn't really fit in. So I think anytime that Dwight's getting minutes over him, it's a chance to be positive. Yeah, THT. I like what he brings, but yeah, maybe on the bench or coming off the bench when you're sitting one of the big three, kind of let him drop in to be that third option on the floor at any time, and maybe the first or second option if the lineups work out. But yeah, I think Malik Monk is making a case to get tossed into that starting two guard spot. Wayne Ellington, just both guys can shoot. So yeah, I think I would have gone that way. Toss somebody that can shoot and maybe get to the basket a little quicker. The THT is great at getting to the hoop, so it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah, but I'd like to see him in the kind of the second rotation, right? Or stagger him maybe with Russ a little bit. so that you're not having similar styles in terms of what they're wanting to do offensively with that. That's why I think I was critical even before the lineup was trotted out there that lineup probably wasn't going to work. That's what I would have done, and I think we kind of saw it unfold. We've seen a lot more LeBron at the center as of late. We haven't done a pod in a few weeks, but that is something that's been implemented with this team. And there's plenty of reason to like it, right? Like this, it helps the spacing. I think you saw maybe the limitations with that unit. Obviously, if they have a center like they did with Hartenstein, they're going to get abused in kind of those drop coverage situations. But on the flip side, you're supposed to really take advantage offensively. I don't think LeBron did that. We can get into that whole, down the later in this podcast. But LeBron is not free of criticism because he has not been playing anywhere close to what you would expect. And in order for that lineup to succeed, I think he's got to be more aggressive in getting to the rim. And I don't think you saw any of that with kind of that sort of lineup. So yeah, I don't know. I titled this podcast, "The Lakers are getting closer," but what does that even mean? Because I have changed my opinion like 100 times in the last 3 weeks without doing a pod, which is a good reason why we haven't done the pod, honestly, because I don't know what I would have said, and it would be old takes exposed situation. But I remember a couple weeks ago, the Lakers broadcast mentioned, just maybe changing expectations of what you want out of this game, right? And I thought that played to the course of the season, right? If you just looked at it through the lens of like, hey, maybe they're not the title favorites, maybe you just looked at it as a good playoff team, maybe you'd be more happy about what they are doing. And so I think that still plays. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's too early to completely panic on the big picture of this team, right? But we have seen a little bit of steps in the right direction. I'm just worried that maybe you'll start to see more finger pointing before this team really got to hit its stride, right? Like it's a situation where like I thought the Lakers were trying really hard. And honestly, that's a step in the right direction for this team because they haven't been, but the result doesn't go their way. So maybe they don't try as hard moving forward. And it's kind of one of those things where I'm worried that the floor is going to fall out before we really get to see what maybe the best version of this roster could be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's to me it seems like around the Lakers, like just the players and stuff, that they really believe Ariza is going a different maker. So like that aspect, I want to be excited to see kind of how that really plays out. But also there's Kendrick Nunn still that's going to get worked into this rotation somehow. So I think it's too early to kind of just assume this isn't going to be a title year. I know the team that's been playing, they're not winning a title. Like there's no way this team wins a title how they play right now. But so I think it's fair to say let's kind of wait and see still how they'll look when they get a couple more guys back, just to see how the rotation's going to be for one. So I feel like adding one extra person that creates a lot of extra work and kind of you have to start over. But to stagger that throughout the beginning of the season, that's got to be tough.
Anthony Davis recently told reporters that this team is capable of going on a 10-game win streak. Well, they got on a 2-game win streak, so before it was snapped. But I do think maybe year one of Anthony Davis's era with the Lakers has kind of broken his brain a little bit, because they went on that crazy run to start the year when everyone kind of bought in defensively and started, establishing good habits, right? And maybe that kind of warped his sense of what this team is capable of, because I don't know how likely it is that this version of the Lakers is going to rattle off 10 wins in a row, but maybe. I mean, this tonight, the Clippers are a solid, playoff team, and the Lakers were right there, right? They just didn't hit the shot, and that's more than you can say for what the Lakers have looked like against playoff caliber teams. They have been run off the floor in a lot of those games. So that may be why this is a step in the right direction. It feels like it's not enough yet. And I guess my big worry is that we may not get it fully enough because people may just give up at that point. You may get
Mm-hmm.
finger pointing. This is an older team. There's going to be blame to go around, and all of a sudden, like, you're just not going to see what this team is capable of because they were just so close, but they didn't get there. So that is
Mm-hmm.
my main concern. But now obviously you have more days off now, and you'll have more practice time, and maybe we'll see a better version of the Lakers moving forward. I do want to talk about LeBron actually. Uh, yeah, I he's been frustrating in a sense that he is settling for way too many jump shots
Mm-hmm.
and honestly bad jump shots, right? So like he's been really good, when someone kicks it to him and he pulls it up right there, or a pull up three. But if he has to like dribble into it, or if he's like staring at his defender and does the classic LeBron look down and then I'm gonna pull up, like a lot of those shots are bad
Mm-hmm.
and not good shots. And I feel like uh, we've only seen 12 games with him. The Lakers are 7-5 with him. Part of at least my frustration with this team, right, is that I'm looking at through the lens of like what this team is capable of. Can they win a title? And honestly, this version of LeBron, I don't think you can win a title with him the way he is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's still very early in the season. He's been in and out of the lineup and all that stuff, but he is defaulting to a lot of kind of bad habits and bad shots that have been very frustrating to watch as someone who's been a lifelong major LeBron stan. And I think that is, there's a lot of reasons why this team isn't reached its full potential, but that is definitely one
Mm-hmm.
of them at the forefront of my mind as coming to this Lakers fandom as a LeBron fan.
Yeah, settling for pull up jump shots probably not the strongest part of his game, but man, I'm telling you, that man is taking a beating anytime he goes to the rim. And at some point you just like it if he's not going to get to the free throw line as much, then what's the point of taking all that beating on your body when it's you might get an easy layup, but chances are you're gonna get smacked around, smacked in the face or something, and get nothing. So I can understand the jump shots, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the assertiveness on the offensive end is kind of lacking a lot, and especially times when they just need something to get them over the hump that bites them in the butt. And honestly, it kind of showed tonight.
Yeah, and honestly, like this team obviously has defensive issues.
Hmm.
LeBron is going to be able to help cover up a lot of those. So maybe some of that is, hey, I'm gonna settle for a jump shot on this end, so I can save my legs for that end. Which would be
Hmm.
easier to explain if he wasn't so disengaged like half the time on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know. Like I'm not prepared to go hashtag wash king on him. I'm not prepared to say he's done or he can't carry the team. Like honestly, I think it was John Hollinger wrote out how he's no longer the guy anymore, and that was like a month ago. I'm just
Hmm.
more. We are 24 games into the season. I'm frustrated with a lot of things. Like there is like a list of 73, and Russell Westbrook might be 73rd on that damn list. As just to remind you, you noted
Hmm.
Russ hater, but LeBron is very much higher up on that list. Like
Hmm.
his lack of just getting to the rim and taking shots that he is more efficient at has been very frustrating to watch. And it's a long season. He knows his body better than anybody. He knows the grind that this season is. I just it is hard to get excited about this team, and tonight I was very excited, and
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of moments where I was reminded, kind of a harsh reality, that maybe this team isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
So, anything else from tonight or the last couple weeks in general that you want to mention?
Um, no, not really. I mean, tonight was the first time that I was able to sit down and just commit to a game in,
Mm-hmm.
what, a couple weeks, really. And so,
Yeah,
um, I wish I would have won, and I feel like they had a bunch of chances too, but I don't know. They're off. Like they just seem
yeah,
off. Something's not right. I think they're still trying to figure it out. Us as fans, we're trying to figure it out. And honestly, I don't know what the answer's going to be. I don't think it's a single player coming back that's going to fix a bunch of major issues. I just think they just need to buckle down and get it done. But maybe it's too early in the season for that, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this was good. You know, the point of this podcast when we first started it was like, hey, we just wanted a place to talk to after the games and vent about these games, or or get excited about these games. And lately, it's been a lot of venting. Hopefully, the Lakers give us more reasons to celebrate moving forward. But we will be back after the next game. They play the Celtics on the Tuesday. We plan to pod whether that's a 30-point loss or a 30-point win. I promise you that. We'll be back in a rhythm here. We'll start to learn more about this team. We're not pushing the panic button yet, but it's slightly concerning at this stage of the season, even though lately we've seen steps in the right direction. He's Austin Case. I'm Shane Jackson. Thank you so much for listening to the latest Lakers Theory podcast, and see you next time, Lakers fans.